Yeah, right. Welcome. Happy hump day. Happy hump day. I'm going to get the lower leg glued together. Then I'm going to start working on this other sucker. Apologies for running a bit late this morning. All right. I always find an interesting place. I know, at the time, technology is technology, right? But they find the most interesting place sometimes to put a gate. Like literally inside of a curved area, right? Near a spot. I mean, it's easy to remove, but it's just fabulous because on this side you actually have it right on top of this knee guard. Could have done that too, but for some reason they couldn't. Always odd. And once again, how different things are. That's literally one of the two halves of the lower leg, from the knee all the way down to the foot, right? So, in terms of the ability to pose this thing in a walking position, like it's actually trying to do some kind of a significant walk, it isn't going to happen. I mean, you could certainly, and I've done this before, you could certainly cut that entire foot out and restructure the entire thing. It wouldn't be like remarkably complex. In fact, someday when the time comes, I think I'm going to do that. When I work on one of the MSVs, I think we'll probably end up doing that. Okay. Now let's get a sip of coffee going. We haven't had coffee yet. So I will had an interesting conversation yesterday. I'll start this with a good friend, Robert, who has popped in on the live stream on the occasion, and he asked a really good question. He's like, "So I've been reading, or it's been suggested that if I do any kind of work on a model that I'm bringing to a competition, do I want to bring documentation?" And he said it seems like it's a lot of effort, but I can see the validity. And I said, it's absolutely valid. Hey, Nick, good morning. What's going on, brother? I said, it's absolutely valid. I would highly recommend that you do that. If you do anything that goes what I consider to be sort of out of the box, and by out of the box, it's if you've done something extensive enough to the model, whether that's some kind of like primarily any kind of extensive plastic work, you need to show it. What was it? I'll give a few examples of this, and the ones I gave to Robert, and that was that um, when I did judging a couple years back at ValleyCon, and there was a truck that was considered as a pickup. Good morning, Joe. How are you? That was considered for this is best of show. And there were two models in competition. The first one, the diorama that was created was it was fabulous. Nice work, really good work on the. And I've talked quite a bit about this on the water. It was a boat with a number of Japanese soldiers. It was a river boat, muddy bank, everything like that. It looked great. And we walked over and looked at the Jeep. And I'm like, yeah, it's really nicely done. I'd walked by it a couple times, didn't really pay much attention. And then the head judge said, that's 100% scratch built. And then that's when the whole conversation kind of changed. Now you start scrutinizing the model and you start looking at the workmanship and you start going through the book that he had there and you saw the construction that he put into it. And it's like, okay, there you go. Best of show. Hey, Edwin. Good evening. Now, had we not had that documentation, had he not literally tooted his own horn, how would we have known? The other example I used was in my submission of the Spartan. Talking about that Jeep again, it's a badass Jeep. It was again, it's Joe, I think we've all gone to shows to some degree, and we've seen models that kind of stand out. And and here's the thing, I've seen some fabulous models. Very few of them kind of resonate with me. Like I remember I don't remember everything I've seen by no stretch of the imagination. Even some really great models, but I can certainly remember some of the highlights, and that one was certainly a highlight of a model I've seen in my last 5-6 years, particularly my last 2-3 years of being a judge. So the other example that I gave, Robert, was the my article in the IPMS journal for the Spartan, because one thing, I mean, I wrote extensively on the work, and anybody who followed that construction, that 16-month process, knows exactly what went into that model. But if I didn't document that in the way that I did for the journal, the editor-in-chief of the journal basically said, you should see what this guy did to this thing, because this is an old model. And this isn't George patting himself on the back. What he was saying was, it was like, unless you see and get this detailed information, you would not know what went into this. Then tarp, that was plastic with rope on it. That's what blew my mind. Yeah, I thought the entire, you're looking at all of it, Joe, just even like the wheels and everything. It was fabulously done. He's a remarkably talented person. He's done some more stuff since. I don't remember spending enough time seeing it to have it kind of stick with me. And I'm not sure if he's done, other extensive work like that. But yeah, God, I forget his name now. It'll come to me. But anyway, so, the editor-in-chief kind of called out that, unless you actually have, unless you actually see the work that went in, you would not know the work that went in. So the call out is always, if you do extensive work on a model and you're putting it in a show, absolutely, yes, it's going to take effort, but take the time and put together something, an iPad slideshow, photo book, detailed notes, whatever. Because if you come back later and just say, hey, boy, I did a lot of additional work to this thing. Yeah, but you didn't write it down. How would we know? And no one has a picture of this Jeep. Yeah, I've got a picture of it. I think I actually posted it on Instagram a long while back. It was actually at ValleyCon 2 years ago. It was the only photo I took. I think I saved it to my Insta account. Yeah. If Joe can't find it, I'll find it for you, Nick. But when you look at it, it's not like it screams out, holy shit, this thing is fabulous. Because it looks like again, if you look, this is why I say about when I look at all the armor, all the planes on a table, it's like, yep, they're all really well made. Wow, fabulous work. Wow. When you look at something at such a high level, you know, at a competition, you know, it's you get a little in is it the word is inured, I think. You kind of become numb to all of the stuff that's there because there's a lot of really great work. Now, of course, there are a couple of pieces that stand out more. Be right back, baby duty. Uh-oh. Good luck, Nick. But when you look at all of the work that's on the table, you can get, and this happened even when I did the when I did the judging at the Enimec show, the Gundam show up at Permeca Warehouse. I missed that show. That was a really good time. I hope Nick gets back to doing that again. I would love to participate in that in the future. So Nick, if you're listening to this, brother, do the show, do it again. Enimec was great, and I'd highly recommend people attend. So, I remember very few models, and the models that I remember the most are Peter, who's, you know, everybody knows who Peter is if you've been kind of like on the YouTube channel, because Peter's a scratch builder, and his work on his I can't remember if it's a Kubota. He literally did a crawling tractor. The kit bashing that he did on that. The extent, and to this day, I still don't understand how I beat him. I looked at my model next to his. I'm like, I did absolutely fabulous work. Boy, the work that Peter did was even better. But Peter's work has been fabulous. But that I remember those models. I also remember a model from a woman who did just did a great story. And the story was, you know, just she did a kshatriya and she painted it all in pink and she put little bows on it and everything. And she put it on top of a book. Now, I don't know what the story specifically was, but I remember looking at that and just saying, that's absolutely fabulous storytelling. And you look at a table and you look at all these wonderful models. And then you look over and say, that's a standout. Now, she did not get any kind of like, you know, high level award for her construction because there was construction issues and that kind of stuff. But in terms of her fit and finish on that, her fit and finish was a struggle. But in terms of the story she told, was great. So I remember a lot of stuff like that. But the ones that usually stand out are the ones that have something more, you know, that you've done something more with. This is why I guess in some ways, and I'm gonna, you know, I guess I in some ways I guess I'll kind of tackle the Gundam community, and I also do the same thing with the traditional guys as well. But to me, if you want to impress me, not as a judge, as a person, you want to impress me with your model, tell me a story, or do something that's outside of the box, what's in the box itself. Because frankly, doing a great job and assembling it well and putting paint on it, awesome. Great work. But now I got 20 other models that are just like that. That was from an anime card captors. Oh, was it? It's the people that take the chance to be different are usually better visually at look at, not that they've built it the best. It's usually people that take the chance to be different are usually better visually to look at, not that they built it the best. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's always important, Nick. We'll get to that in just a second. Hey, Seb, good morning. Sometimes the most memorable builds are those that are out of the box. Sometimes, yeah, I think if you build something out of the box and you do something with it, like a unique paint scheme, but more than that, if you put it into some kind of a diorama that just like that makes it, that distinguishes, and we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, good morning, Seb. What's going on, brother? I'm looking at your Insta account now. Okay. Thank you, Joe. But I agree with Nick 100%. And we'll get to Adwin's comment in just a second. But Nick's comment of, as a judge, and this is what I like, as a judge, if you're putting a model on a table, I'm going to look at that from a very because I think storytelling is a very personal thing. It's very subjective. Yes, objective is fit and finish. I did that on a number. Every time I've done judging, I've always come to the person whose model I thought did absolutely great. Love their work. It didn't win. It didn't come up with some kind of like really high level of whatever. I said, but I loved your storytelling. You did something that you really should be proud of. In the future, just work on some of these fit and finish things, and that's it. But congratulations, great work. Just woke up from my night shift. Pretty tired, but fine. Yeah, another night shift. Yeah. Seb, do you primarily do night shifts? Is that kind of what I'm hearing, or is it just whatever they throw at you? So yeah, Nick, I agree. Most of the stuff that I've seen over the years that has stood out has been you're telling me something that's really good, or you're doing something that is like off the chain incredible. And I'll use the other example. That Zaku has some big feet. I know, but it's anime accurate, which is what I love about this thing. So to all those people who are like, oh man, that's an old model. It doesn't look real. It's like it does if you compare it to the anime. What's going on, Ray? So, I'll use the example of Tim Harkin's Child of Mecha's just a drop, airdrop. I saw some of the work that went into that model, and I thought his storytelling and his method for storytelling on that model was great. That's a very memorable model to me. So once again, kind of just to round out, what started this thing. So I would say to anybody, if you do any kind of work that goes above and beyond, you should document it. That doesn't mean it's suddenly you're going to do better, because if you document that here's all the extensive work that I did, but your fit and finish is still kind of rough, thank you for calling it out. Here are the areas you got to work on. Well, I have a planning on 4 to 5 weeks that repeats itself, and in that planning, I have a lot. Oh, wow. Well, hopefully you don't have like a night shift, sleep a few hours, and then have a day shift. That would hurt. Or maybe I'm just speaking for myself. That to me would be painful. I look at like 10 pictures of the last build, all rivets. Generally, I can do around 3 night shifts in a row. Wow. Well, I guess you can, depending on what you just have to change your sleep schedule, right? Wow. Get the knife in here. Doesn't look real. When was it real? Well, that's the whole conversation that we have I shouldn't say the whole conversation. We've had this conversation quite a bit. When you got the traditional model builders who are like, but it's not real. It's their whole foundation is, yeah, but what you're building isn't real. It never existed. It's like, yeah. It didn't maybe exist in this, 3-dimensional world we live in, but it did exist. It's existed like this. Zaku has existed now for almost 50 years. In its various iterations. Don't worry, in France, you need to have a minimum of 11 hours between 2 shifts. Why is it that the rest of the world has these sane labor laws and we don't? Good for you, Seb. Like my hopes and dreams. 5, I think, do exist. Five, I think, do exist. Are you talking about like real Gundams? You're talking about like, yeah, statues. But I'm saying but they've never, okay, here's an example. Yes, a Gundam as an example, yes. We've had a few of them kind of built and everything like that. Sure. And one can certainly cite that. And in fact, the FOO, you can say is, well, that's a model of something that was in Yokohama. Yes. How many giant robots can you see now? How many giant robots? And personally speaking, I can't see any. But yes, the point is valid, but it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's and again, this is this is a long questioning conversation um about what we do, and did you have to build something in reality to be part of IPMS? And the answer is, and my answer is, of course, no. Zaku doesn't mean just shoe. Nice. All right, let's glue this thing together. But again, this is as I said, this is a very age-old conversation. So, to which I will just leave with once again, if you do any out-of-the-box work, any extensive work, you should absolutely document it for a competition. If you're competing and you think that it's going to, and you've done some stuff that you think the judges should know about, then you should definitely err on the side. Judges should know about this. Sometimes building something that doesn't exist is the whole point. 100%, Peter. Yeah, Peter, I actually, you might want to even watch some of this. I actually just tooted your horn again about the memorableness of certain models. But the conversation was, I was contacted by my friend Robert, who asked, I hear that I should document and produce documents when I'm competing if I've done something, kind of out of the norm, something that should be called out. And I said, yes, you should. You should absolutely do that. Because if you're looking and I remember after seeing that Jeep again, it's if you did not tell me that, I would have thought that would have been a model just right out of the box. There we go. Ow. Never get into details on those sheets. Well, I think part of it, from my perspective, if I'm doing the judging, Peter, and I see something that's Peter, I know what I'm looking at, But I do think that if you're competing in a place where somebody might not know who you are or what kind of work you've done or that kind of thing, and generally you should be blind to that anyway, right? You should put those things in the notes. Like if you scratch built like the head on your pumpkin head, that should be called out. No, you should only be judged on final results, never on all the hard, unknown work that was put into it. I agree. You should be put in on hold a second. Let me just read this again. You should only be judged on the final results, never all. Yes, I agree. Because, and I've heard this happen. Well, I did all of this scratch building. I did all of this extensive work, and I didn't get a high award. And it's like, yeah, because you had flaws. But if your model is, and I'm going to use the example of that Jeep again, if your model is at that level, then you should. Otherwise, it looks like a really, really, really well finished out of the box model. So how does somebody know? Now that would be for something like a best of show. Nick wants a degradation comp. Everyone gets scolded regardless. I don't know if it's about scolding. I hope it's not. I hope it's never about scolding. Ooh, I forgot the entire bottom of the foot. Squeeze all this together. This, no kink shaming. No kink shaming. Nice. So, anyway. Let me know what you did special on your model if it's something like if you did what was it um at a show that we went to, and this is a surprise. I don't think the judges read some of the stuff like or knew what they were looking at. Here's an example. Yeah, good example. Peter, um, Richard competed with his HG Camphor, I think is what it was. Yes, at a show, and um, the model was, I mean, it's Richard. It's flawless. He is so meticulous. You're not going to find a flaw in the model. But he additionally did some like literally little ladder work on all the models. So put in these little bent metal ladders up along the entire leg and up I can't remember what other side of it was. But he did a fabulous work, and it was meticulous, but it was subtle. But the judges didn't know what they were looking at because they weren't Gundam judges, and they just kind of looked at it and kind of gave it like a, I don't know, bronze or a silver or something like that. And I'm not saying that because you did that additional work, you deserve more, but I don't think that they were looking at that model carefully enough to see what made that model stand out. So what I want, just saying all the extras work of scratch building shouldn't be the main reason to win. Oh, I agree with you on that. The final finish should be just what it's judged. Oh, I agree. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I also think, and this is the one place where IPMS usually gets dinged a little bit, rightfully so. But do you take into account, and if so, you got three models, all of which are like, and I'm going to use the word flawless, are flawless. What separates 1, 2, and 3? And this is the unfortunate part of you're dealing with, gold, silver. I'm sorry, you're doing 1, 2, 3 rather than open judging. You have to call out a winner. You have to call out number 2, and you have to call out number 3. So with that, you should know what it is that you're looking at. Okay, so now what's the differentiator at this point? Okay. Georgia said they gave Best in Show to the Jeep because it was scratch built. It wasn't in the running until it was. No, actually, I believe it won in its category. So like best armored vehicle is what I believe it won. And then it was looked upon at best of show. And then again, Nick, you have two models, both of which are excellent. You have to choose one. Now you have to apply some other criteria beyond that one's flawless, that one's flawless. I've looked at them extensively. Which one do you go to? How do you choose? And I'd say the same thing in the category. If you look at 5 tanks or 5, models in the armor category, and you say, okay, these all 5 of these things are absolutely incredible. How do you choose? What separates one from another, or what gives one more bit of edge? And that's where I think, unfortunately, and I'm going to say this, you almost have to leave objectivity aside. Okay, got the leg glued together, the lower leg. Let's get the upper leg done. So that's what I'm getting at. And that's the reason why I believe a lot of people who do extensive amount of work actually included documentation with the models on the tables. Hey, Richie, good morning. And I usually don't gravitate toward that first. I will look at that, like, here's the thing. In general, when you take a look at a table, right, you're going to know pretty quickly which are the best in the best on that table. in that category. You're going to know. You're going to find the, couple, 3, 5, depending on the size of the stuff on there. You're going to know pretty quickly. What's going on, Richie? How are you doing? I don't have to get rid of this top section because I'm literally going to hack into it in order to slide the leg into the torso when the time comes. So this is the place where maybe, Nick, we change the conversation a little bit and we say, instead of there being, 1, 2, 3, this is where open judging really comes into play. And with open judging, you can just say, instead of saying that's number 1, that's number 2, that's number 3, and these are the niggling differences. And trust me, there have been times when it's like it's a coin toss. When I went to NAS, 3 armor kits caught my eye. Guess what kits placed? I'm assuming those 3. Maybe. But this is, again, where open judging really comes into play. And you can just say, all 3 of those are gold. Everything else is silver. Is it Friday yet? Oh, God, yeah. Not soon enough. I'm good. Too bad the weather going to be shit till Sunday. Is it really? Oh, fuck. I was hoping to do a trail walk this weekend. I need to go out there and hit the trail. So. Oh, man. Have another 5 minutes or so. Probably something with cleavage. They always place. Yeah. I'm not sure they always place, but it is interesting when a very high level of those do place. It's like, really? It went from May to October real quick. Dude, that's exactly. We're the same way. We're at the office yesterday. And it's like, what the hell just happened to the weather? Exactly. They clearly had the best finish and stood out from everything else. Yeah. Get ready for the rain. I got rain starting at 11 a.m. until Thursday, 3 p.m. Really? Oh, fuck. Well. Yeah, hopefully get a walk in soon. My heat is going. Yeah, Rishi, my heat is going. Wow, really? I don't know if I had my heater going last night, but may have. Okay. I'm going to just finish sanding this front piece real quickly, and I'm going to call it a morning session. No rain until Monday down here, really. I'm assuming you're still down south, Ray? Like way down south? Anyway, I seem to have dominated the conversation with this topic today, which is kind of interesting. Talking about, model competitions on a model podcast. Actually, not really a model podcast, is it? We're on a heat wave here. They are comparing it to August. Are you shitting me? It's called it's a cold front from Canada, they say. Really? Yeah, that would make sense. Starting the journey back after breakfast, not trying to make it one day to see. Yeah, don't. Take your time, enjoy. It's about the journey. Enjoy the journey. Anyway, Nick, I appreciate the feedback, and I'd love to have, further conversation with you about this at some point. Because look, I think it's how do you, like I said, the whole conversation started with, how do you call out what you've done on a model? And I think the importance of doing so helps. It shouldn't be the first thing that you look at as a judge, but it should be something that could be considered if your model or a bunch of models are in competition for a best in class or what have you. What are the tariffs on a cold front? I know. I'm sure we'll be sending them a bill, a tax bill. Thanks for sending this down. You're costing Americans this much money. Pay up. Oh, God, that's funny, right? All right. We got quite a bit of this done. There's still some schmutzing here. I'll finish off later. But again, just trying to eliminate that seam line. You can actually still see some of it right at the top there. I'll get that tackled tomorrow. 140%. I think that's a little high. We say that only for China. So if bad weather comes from China, we'll do that. But then again, we seem to hate Canada now, so who knows? Who knows? All right, my friends. And on that happy note, stay safe and stay sane, everybody. Thanks for being on this morning. Good conversation. I hope others enjoyed this conversation as much as I liked having it, because I think Robert brought up a really good point. And I know we kind of took it into many different ways, but I hope others kind of appreciated this conversation too. We don't typically spend the entirety of a session talking about like one specific subject, or primarily one specific subject, or something that's model related, but hopefully people appreciated it. All right, friends. So later, Nick, later, Seb. Guys, go do good. This world's getting crazier. It's like, I got something for Thursday night, later, Space Noids. Ooh, sounds good, Joe. If you want to send me a preface, let me know. But go out there and do good. Brighten the world as much as you can. It is, I mean, I'm not kidding you. It is the insanity that's going on now. It's getting worse. It is getting worse. It's up to us to stay sane, keep focused on doing good, keep focused on the right, meaning the goodness and doing right, not wrong. Okay? Show love for people and help people out wherever you can. With that, I'll be back on tomorrow morning, same time, same channel. Enjoy, do good, love you all, and I will catch you on the flip. Peace.